My phone vibrated against the reclaimed wood of the kitchen island, Damon's coffee already cooling beside it. 2 weeks out from the biggest day of my life, the wedding I'd meticulously planned down to the shade of ivory ribbon, and every incoming call from my mother, Celeste, felt like an emotional landmine. I watched her name light up the screen, Lilia Thorne, and let it ring twice, bracing myself before answering. "Hi, Mom." Her voice, a delicate, practiced soprano, chirped through the receiver. "Lilia, darling, you simply must come over immediately. Your sister needs to talk to you about something crucial for the ceremony." My stomach did that familiar, sickening flip. "Can't Bianca just text me? I have the final structural review for the new city library in an hour, Mom. I can't just drop everything." The familiar steel entered her voice, signaling that refusal was not an option. "This isn't a phone discussion, sweetie. Bianca has been working on a very special surprise for you. You will want to see it in person." I closed my eyes, picturing the endless parade of surprises from my 26-year-old sister that always ended with me swallowing disappointment while my family praised her effort. It was exhausting, but fighting Celeste was always more exhausting. "Sign," I sighed, grabbing my keys. 30 minutes. The short drive to my childhood home in Charleston took me past the grand old houses Damon and I had dreamed of restoring. The irony of my profession, building stability for others while my own foundation remained shaky, was not lost on me. Damon's voice echoed in my head. "You are an adult, Lilia. You don't have to accept their dysfunction." I pulled into the circular driveway, noticing my father Arthur's vintage sedan parked neatly beside Celeste's SUV. Unusual for a Tuesday. The knot in my chest tightened. Celeste opened the door instantly, her eyes bright with a suppressed theatrical glee. "Perfect timing. Hurry in." The house smelled faintly of lavender and the sickly sweet frosting of Bianca's favorite lemon cake. Definitely not my preference. "Where is Bianca?" I asked, following my mother toward the drawing room. "Just wait," she whispered, her hands fluttering excitedly. "Close your eyes. It's dramatic." I didn't close my eyes. I stepped into the room and froze. Bianca was standing on a velvet ottoman in front of a full-length mirror, turning slowly. She was wearing a floor-length gown of heavy white satin, intricate lace tracing a deep V neckline. It was undeniably a wedding dress. My mother beamed, folding her hands beneath her chin. "Doesn't your sister look absolutely radiant? This will be perfect for leading the bridal procession." The air instantly sucked out of my lungs. Leading the procession? Bianca turned, giving me that saccharine, triumphant smirk that had haunted my childhood. "Surprise, Lilia," she trilled. "I don't understand," I managed, my voice sounding like a stranger. Celeste rushed to fill the silence, speaking rapidly. "Well, since your father is walking you down, we thought having Bianca, your amazing big sister, lead the whole procession in something special would be such a meaningful touch. She's your sister, after all." My father, Arthur, stood in the far corner meticulously adjusting a tiny print on the wall, avoiding eye contact. "In a wedding dress?" I repeated, the horror making the words sharp. Bianca immediately crumpled into a practiced pout. "It's bridal adjacent, Lilia, not an actual wedding dress. It's a very high-end evening gown." My mother's face hardened, the kindness evaporating. "Bianca deserves this, Lilia. She's been through so much emotionally lately." The script of my life unfolded. Bianca deserves, Bianca needs, Bianca, Bianca, Bianca. I flashed back to my high school graduation, celebrating my full scholarship while Celeste spent the evening talking about Bianca's difficult gap year and how I was so easy that didn't need to worry about me.
"It's not like anyone will really be looking at you with Damon there anyway," Bianca added, running a possessive hand down the white skirt. "He's so striking. Everyone will be focused on him." The casual cruelty was a gut punch. "I forbid you from wearing white to my wedding," I said, the unexpected clarity in my voice shocking all three of them. Celeste's cheeks flushed crimson. "You are incredibly selfish. Your sister only wants to share your special day." I looked at my father, begging him with my eyes to intervene. After a painful silence, he cleared his throat, not looking up. "Lilia, it's not worth the fight. Just let it go." The familiar, decades-old feeling of being erased, of being told my feelings were inconsequential, washed over me. I'd spent 30 years mastering the art of self-abnegation. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Damon. I need to take this, I announced, walking out onto the porch, my hands shaking. Behind me, I heard Bianca's muffled, self-satisfied laughter and my mother's low, approving tone. Hey, how's the library review going? Damon asked, his voice steady. Damon, they want Bianca to lead me down the aisle in a wedding dress, I choked out. Silence. Then, instantly, I am coming to get you, now. Don't argue, just get outside. It was the first time in my life someone had instantly, unequivocally taken my side. I ended the call and walked back inside, a strange calm replacing the panic. I need time to think about this, I stated quietly. Celeste huffed. Well, the dress needs alterations, so you need to decide soon. I nodded, picking up my purse. I'll call you tomorrow. As I pulled away, I heard my mother's voice, carried on the breeze. Don't worry, she'll cave. She always does. But this time, sitting in my car, staring out at the manicured Charleston street, the tears streaming down my face were not tears of submission. They were the first drops of a brewing storm. This time, I wouldn't cave. I pushed open the door to our apartment, expecting it to be quiet, but Damon was already there, shedding his chef coat, pacing the living room like the caged tiger he sometimes was when he was focused. The sight of him, solid, present, already anticipating my need, was what finally broke me. Tell me everything, he commanded, crossing the room and taking my trembling hands in his, from the beginning. His touch was an anchor as the decades of buried grievances tumbled out. Not just the white dress, but the old wounds. When I was 13, Uncle Silas gave me a signed, rare first edition book. It vanished a week later. Mom accused me of being irresponsible and losing it. I paused, the memory stinging. 3 months later, I found it in Bianca's room, tucked into her bookshelf. When I told Celeste, she said I was trying to create drama because Bianca was struggling in school. Damon's fingers tightened around mine, his investigative journalist mind already connecting the threads. Then there was Mark, my boyfriend in college. Bianca told my parents she saw him at a party with another girl, crying on her shoulder. They grounded me for a month and wouldn't let me see him. By the time I could, he'd transferred schools. Damon's voice was low, careful. And the other girl? His cousin, visiting for the weekend. I let out a dry, humorless laugh. I found out later, but no one believed my side. Damon didn't interrupt. He just listened, truly listened, the way no one in my family ever had, his expression darkening with each revelation, until he leaned forward, his eyes locking onto mine with the intense focus he usually reserved for a corrupt politician. Lilia, what they've been doing to you is textbook psychological abuse. The words hung in the air, heavy and sharp. I shook my head, pulling my hands away, instinctively defensive of the family myth. They're just a normal family with favorites. It's complicated. Normal families don't systematically sacrifice one child's well-being for another's validation, Damon countered, his voice gentle but absolute. This wedding stunt is the latest play in a pattern that has defined your entire life. The undeniable, awful truth crashed over me like a sudden wave, stealing my breath. Tears spilled down my cheeks as 30 years of silence and compliance broke free. I want to cancel the wedding, I sobbed, or elope. Anything but facing them again. Damon instantly cupped my face in his strong hands, his thumbs wiping away the tears. No, if we run, they win. They've taken 30 years from you. They will not take this day. A sharp knock on the door interrupted the breakdown. It was Astrid, my best friend since architecture school, holding bags of authentic Thai takeout and a bottle of wine. I come bearing reinforcements, she announced, her smile dissolving when she saw my face. Oh, honey, what did they do now? Over Pad CEU and cheap but necessary red wine, I recounted everything. The white dress, Damon's declaration of abuse, the lifetime of being an afterthought. We need a strategy, Damon stated, already reaching for his phone. Not revenge, but boundaries and ironclad consequences. He called his cousin, Jasper, a security consultant specializing in event logistics, putting him on speaker. After hearing the highly specific details, Jasper's voice came through, serious and measured. This is manipulative, but deeply predictable. People who have played this game for decades don't stop just because you ask nicely. Astrid, meanwhile, was scrolling furiously through years of old texts. "I'm looking at Bianca's messages," she muttered, brow furrowed. "The pattern is right here. Don't wear that color, it washes you out with your skin tone. Are you sure you want that venue? It looks a little tacky for an architect." Each message was a tiny, self-esteem eroding rock. I logged into a professional email to check wedding correspondence, and what I found felt like a literal punch. Celeste had emailed the wedding coordinator last week requesting a special front row ceremonial seat for Bianca. Scrolling further, she had also contacted the photographer about scheduling sister-focused portraits right after the vows. Damon's cousin, Jasper, arrived with a grim expression, laying security contracts on the coffee table. What if no one believes me? The old fear, thick and suffocating. What if everyone takes their side? Astrid reached across the table. "Lilia, I've watched them do this to you for a decade. Remember your last promotion party? Your mom spent the whole night criticizing the appetizers, then told everyone your salary was nice for a girl." Damon stood beside me, unshakable. People will believe the truth when it's laid bare. I picked up my phone, my hand steady this time, and dialed Uncle Silas, my father's brother, who I hadn't spoken to in years. "Lilia?" His voice was genuinely warm. I told him everything, my voice growing stronger as I spoke the truth aloud. His response was immediate comfort. "I've watched this happen your whole life, Lilia. It stops now." His voice turned fierce with protective energy. "And if Arthur won't walk you down the aisle, I will. It would be my greatest honor." We spent the next hour making clear, cold decisions. Hire professional security with explicit rules about white dresses, confirm the guest list had a zero-tolerance policy for gatecrashers, and assign Astrid and Jasper as our official boundary enforcers. "We are not seeking revenge," Damon emphasized, his hand warm on my back. "We are setting and enforcing a non-negotiable boundary." That night, I made my first quiet stand, changing my phone settings to send all family calls directly to voicemail. It felt monumental, like turning a massive ship. Damon watched me from the bedroom doorway. "You okay?" "I think I will be." And I said, and for the first time in my life, I meant it.
"Are you okay in there?" Damon asked. I opened the door. "My family's been busy." He took the phone, scanning the messages, his jaw hardening. "Astrid called last night while you were sketching. Your mother is telling everyone you're having some kind of public nervous breakdown due to stress." The room tilted, a familiar, dizzying feeling of helplessness. "Of course she is." Damon put the phone down. "We have the final meeting with the venue coordinator, Mrs. Albright, at 10. Breakfast first." I nodded, clinging to his calm, practical tone, grateful he never questioned the reality of what I was enduring. Later, the historic waterfront venue was even more breathtaking in the morning sun. Mrs. Albright, a seasoned professional, greeted us with a firm handshake. "So, how can I assist you today?" she asked. Damon took my hand. "We anticipate some highly specific disruptions." I braced myself for skepticism. Instead, Mrs. Albright nodded knowingly. "Family drama is unfortunately common at high-profile events. Tell me exactly what your concern is." The words caught in my throat. How do you summarize 3 decades of emotional theft? Damon squeezed my hand. "Specifically, we are concerned the bride's sister may attempt to attend in what amounts to a full wedding gown." Mrs. Albright's eyebrows rose slightly, a new level of understanding dawning. "Well, that's certainly a first, but easily managed." She pulled out the contract, pointed to a clause, and added a decisive, handwritten sentence. "Any guest, besides the bride, attempting to enter in a wedding dress or attire deemed disruptive by security will be denied entry without exception." She had me initial it, her matter-of-fact approach instantly making the situation feel manageable, not catastrophic. "Will your mother support this decision?" she asked.
I laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. She suggested the dress in the first place. Mrs. Albright merely added another note. Additional security posted at main entrances. We signed the final documents, and as we left, I felt simultaneously lighter, protected, and profoundly sad, recognizing the necessity of such extreme boundaries. Back at the apartment, a large package waited. My wedding dress. Astrid arrived minutes later, claiming coincidence, but I knew Damon had called her. "Want to try it on?" she asked, her excitement genuine. In the bedroom, the ivory gown settled around me like armor. Astrid zipped it up, then stepped back, tears welling in her eyes. "Lilia, you deserve this moment. All of it." A sudden, aggressive knock rattled the front door. Astrid quickly helped me out of the dress and hung it. In the living room, Damon stood frozen, his expression a clear warning. Celeste and Bianca, uninvited and unannounced, were standing in my apartment. "We're worried about you, honey. You're not answering our calls." Bianca stood behind her, eyes red and puffy, the picture of an injured victim. "I just wanted to be here for my little sister." I felt a slow, deliberate shift inside me, like something ancient finally clicking into place. I stood taller. "I have made my decision. Bianca will not be wearing white to my wedding." Celeste's face crumpled, the concern replaced by a hard, open resentment. "After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us?" Damon silently stepped behind me, close enough that I felt his heat, but not touching me. Celeste turned her focus to him, instantly softening her voice. "Damon, you know how emotional brides get. Surely you understand." "I understand exactly what's happening here," Damon said, his voice flat and cold, carrying the weight of absolute certainty. Bianca stepped forward, tears instantly tracking down her cheeks. "If I can't wear what I want, I'm not coming." The threat hung in the air, meant to be the ultimate weapon. All my life, their validation had been oxygen. "That," I said quietly, "is your choice." Celeste's mouth fell open, stunned by my failure to surrender. She quickly gathered her designer handbag. "You'll regret this," she spat, the words landing like a curse. "When you've calmed down, call us." They left without another word, the sound of the door clicking shut surprisingly soft. Damon pulled me into his arms, and I finally allowed the years of accumulated grief to burst forth. Later, Arthur called. I answered, a sliver of hope lingering.
"Lilia," his voice was strained. "Your mother and sister are devastated. Can't you compromise?" I closed my eyes. "Dad, I've compromised my entire life. Not my wedding day." His silence was long, uncomfortable, and damning. Finally, he sighed. "I'll try to talk to them." I hung up, mourning the father I had never truly had. "The hardest part about setting boundaries," Damon whispered, holding me close, "is watching people prove exactly why you needed them." Days passed in a haze of final preparations. Damon ensured Jasper and Astrid were looped into every vendor conversation, witnessing every decision, every contract clause, a strategic move that cemented their understanding of the necessary lockdown. Then 3 days before the wedding, the final betrayal arrived. A text from Arthur. "Your mother and sister are deeply hurt. I don't know if I can walk you down the aisle with all this tension." The abandonment was complete. My hands shook as I immediately called Uncle Silas. "Lilia, how are you holding up?" he answered, his warmth a lifeline. "Dad might not walk me down the aisle," I managed, the words catching. Would you do it?" "It would be my honor, Lilia," he said instantly, without a hint of hesitation. "I've watched you become an incredible woman." The night before the wedding, I lay awake beside Damon, trembling with the realization that the next day would likely be the definitive end of my relationship with my immediate family. The thought brought both profound grief and a strange, exhilarating relief.
Astrid was asleep on the couch, her quiet presence a comforting reminder that family wasn't always defined by blood. I slipped out of bed and found my old journal, writing by the glow of my phone. I will choose myself no matter what happens. The words were simple, certain, and finally, completely mine. The next morning, the sun streamed into the bridal suite as Astrid meticulously fastened the last pearl button on my gown. My phone buzzed with texts. Damon, security confirms all systems green. Clear instructions given. Focus on being the bride. Jasper, guards at every gate. No one gets through without proper attire or a serious invitation. Uncle Silas, ready when you are, sweetheart. You look beautiful. I took a deep breath. Everything was in place. We arrived at the historic venue. The garden square was a vision, roses climbing a delicate iron arch. I spotted Uncle Silas waiting inside, his suit impeccably pressed. His eyes welled up when he saw me. "You are a vision," he whispered, stepping back respectfully. I scanned the area. "Any sign of them?" He shook his head, his expression kind. "Not yet, sweetheart." As Astrid adjusted my veil in the anteroom, the reality of the moment washed over me. I stood before the mirror, 30 years of diminishing myself culminating in this choice. My phone rang. Dad. My heart hammered against my ribs. "Dad?" "Lilia!" Arthur's voice was high with urgency. "You need to come to the main entrance right now and handle this. Bianca is wearing a white dress and these guards won't let her in. You're humiliating us." Hot tears blurred my reflection. "Dad, did you know she was planning this?" His silence stretched, thick with guilt. Then, defensively, "It's just a dress, Lilia. Stop this." The final, fragile thread snapped. "Goodbye, Dad." I ended the call, my hands shaking, but my core was firm. Astrid rushed in. "What happened?" "I'm ready to walk in," I stated, my voice steady. "Alone." She stared. "Are you sure?" "Completely." The doors swung open. The first notes of Pachelbel's canon filtered through. As I took my first step, eyes locked on Damon, a shrill, furious scream sliced through the music. Bianca's unmistakable voice. The music faltered. Every head swiveled toward the main entrance, visible through the open doorway. I froze mid-step, bringing my hand to my mouth in what looked like shock. The guests had a perfect view of Bianca, resplendent in white lace that rivaled my own gown, struggling between two suited security guards. Celeste was beside them, face contorted in a mask of pure rage. Arthur hovering uselessly behind them. Whispers erupted. "Is that the sister in a wedding dress?" One of the guards stated calmly, "This person is violating the dress code and is not permitted entry." Celeste's voice carried. "We already told the bride," an inadvertent, damning confession. Damon and Jasper strode toward the commotion. Astrid rushed to my side. "They are trespassing," Damon confirmed loudly to security. "Escort them out." Uncle Silas stepped into the aisle then, walking slowly toward me. Without a word, he offered his arm, his eyes filled with determined love. "Let me walk you to your future, Lilia," he whispered. Around us, the shift was palpable, confusion melting into understanding, and then quiet disgust for my family. Real tears streamed down my face, not of sorrow, but of the immense relief of the truth finally exposed. I took Silas's arm, continuing my walk to the altar, head high. Damon met me, squeezing my hands reassuringly. He leaned into the microphone. "We apologize for the small disruption. The ceremony continues." As we exchanged vows, my voice grew stronger with each promise. When Damon kissed me, the applause was thunderous, not just for our union, but in solidarity against the spectacle they had just witnessed. Hand in hand, we walked back down the aisle, married, past the conspicuous emptiness where my parents and sister should have been. Damon leaned close, his lips brushing my ear. "It's our day now, exactly as we planned." And for the first time, I smiled without reservation, stepping fully into the sunlight of my new, chosen life. 6 months later, sitting on my living room sofa, my phone buzzed with an email from Arthur. It was brief. "Hope you are well. Your mother still won't discuss what happened." Damon read it, then looked at me. "Do you want to respond?" "Not yet." There's still zero acknowledgement. Later that evening, Damon answered the door to find Astrid, Jasper, and Uncle Silas arriving for dinner. A perfect, self-made family. The doorbell rang again. It was Arthur. Celeste stood behind him, Bianca's face visible just over her shoulder. They were holding a large, ornate gift box. Arthur spoke haltingly. "Lilia, Bianca is planning her wedding. Your mother wants to know if you'll attend." I settled back into the certainty I had built. Nothing wavering. "Has anything changed, Dad? Has anyone acknowledged what happened at my wedding?" His uncomfortable silence stretched out, thick with his own unresolved fear. "It was just a misunderstanding, Lilia." "Then my answer is no," I said, not with anger, but with absolute finality. "I wish them well." I closed the door softly. Damon took my hand. I squeezed his fingers, feeling the last vestiges of guilt evaporate. That night, our home filled with laughter and genuine warmth. Silas raised his glass. "To chosen family, Lilia, and hard-won peace." I lifted mine in return, and to learning that true revenge isn't a single moment. It's building a happy, healthy, respected life, whether the people who tried to break you are part of it or not. Damon pulled me into a slow dance in the living room. No music, just the quiet rhythm of our shared journey. "I still miss the family I thought I had sometimes," I confessed against his chest. "That's because you have a good heart," he said. I looked up at him, at the life we had engineered together. But I wouldn't trade this life, this real life, for anything.